Silence is power. You don't need to announce every move you make. That's what weak people do. They talk because they need attention. They post every little thing to feel relevant. But the powerful, they move in silence. They don't broadcast their plans. They don't seek applause for starting because they know the real recognition comes after results. Silence is the weapon of the elite. It keeps enemies guessing and haters in the dark. You want to win? Start by shutting up and working harder than everyone around you. The minute you speak, you expose your intentions. You tell the world what you're thinking, what you're aiming for, and who you are. And once they know that, they know how to block you, how to distract you, how to play you. Silence protects you from all that. You don't owe anyone a single word about what you're doing. Keep it quiet, stay dangerous. The less they know, the more they fear. People can't attack what they can't see. And when they can't figure you out, you become a problem they can't solve. Everybody wants to be loud on social media, loud in conversations, loud in their ego. That's why they stay broke. That's why they stay average, because they think being seen equals being successful. It doesn't. Silence is success. Silence is you keeping your grind sacred. You're not out here bragging, you're out here building. Real men don't need approval, they need results, and results don't come from talking. They come from obsession, isolation, and relentless execution. While they're talking, you're transforming. You see, silence forces you to look inward. It forces you to face yourself, and most people are terrified of that. They need noise to drown out their weaknesses. But when you master silence, you master your mind. You sit alone with your flaws, your goals, your truth, and then you fix them alone. You don't go looking for motivation or sympathy. You create your own power. You build yourself in silence because that's where the greatest weapons are forged. Away from applause, away from eyes, deep in the dark. Every hour you spend grinding while the world is distracted, you build leverage. And when you show up months later, richer, stronger, more dangerous, everyone wants to know your secret. But there is no secret. The silence was the secret. While they scrolled, you studied. While they partied, you planned. You didn't need validation, you needed vengeance, and you earned it by vanishing from the noise and emerging as something they can't understand. Most people lose because they want to be seen too soon. They're in love with potential. They want praise for trying, not for winning. But the world doesn't reward potential, it rewards dominance. And dominance comes from discipline, in silence, when you're focused, when you're locked in, when you're building a life no one even knows about. That's when you're lethal. Because no one can sabotage what they don't even know exists. That's the advantage of silence. It gives you control. And control is everything. There is power in unpredictability. When no one knows your next move, they can't prepare, they can't compete, they can't compare, because they don't even know what you're building. Silence puts you in a position of strength. You move when you're ready, not when they expect you to. You strike when it's time, not when they're watching. You don't announce your success, you make them feel it, and they feel it harder when they never saw it coming. That's how you shock the world. Not by screaming, but by arriving. Silence also kills your excuses. You can't talk your way out of hard work when no one's listening. There's no applause, no sympathy, no distractions. Just you, your grind, and your goals. Silence holds you accountable. It strips away the fantasy and leaves only the facts. Did you train or not? Did you build or not? Did you improve or not? There's no pretending when no one's watching, and that's why most people hate silence, because it exposes their laziness. But the strong, they crave it. They dominate in it. They use it to become unstoppable. Self-mastery is the foundation. Without control over yourself, you're just another pawn in the game getting moved around by your emotions, distractions, and external forces. You can't dominate the world until you first dominate your own mind. That's the first battlefield. And most men lose right there. They let fear, laziness, weakness, and temptation control them. They make excuses instead of making progress. But the man who controls himself, that man is dangerous. That man is unstoppable because no one can take from him what he doesn't give away. Your mind is your most powerful weapon, but only if you train it. If you wake up reacting to everything, scrolling, complaining, blaming, then you're already finished before the day begins. Self-mastery means you wake up on your terms. You decide what you think, what you do, what you give your energy to. You're not triggered by noise. You're not moved by opinions. You're not shaken by pressure. You operate with precision. You operate with purpose. That's what separates winners from everyone else. Internal control. External chaos doesn't matter when your internal world is locked in. Most people are slaves to their impulses. They eat whatever, say whatever, do whatever they feel in the moment. That's not freedom. That's weakness disguised as freedom. Real freedom is discipline. Real strength is saying no to what feels good now so you can have what feels powerful later. Self-mastery isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. You train when you don't want to. You study when you're tired. You stay calm when most people would lose it. Because you're not driven by feelings, you're driven by your mission. You don't get self-mastery from books or motivational videos. You get it from suffering. You get it from putting yourself through hell and refusing to quit. You get it from choosing the hard road every day until it becomes second nature. You do the work when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when no one's around to give you credit. That's when it's built. When the world is silent and all that's left is you and the standard you hold yourself to, that's when you become something most people can't even comprehend. Master your emotions or your emotions will master you. That's the rule. Anger, jealousy, fear, insecurity, those are tools. You either use them or get used by them. Weak men get emotional and act out. Strong men get emotional and use it to fuel the fire. You want revenge? Good. Use it to grind. But never let your emotions steer the ship. They're fuel, not the driver. You stay in control. You use everything as power. That's self-mastery, turning every weakness into a weapon. Every day, you're either feeding your lower self or your higher self. You either give in to the voice that says, sleep in, skip the gym, take it easy, or you answer the voice that says, get up, keep going, you're not done. Self-mastery is about starving the weak voice until it dies. You're building something inside you that no one can see, but everyone will feel when you walk in the room. That's the silent power of a man who has mastered himself. You can't buy self-mastery. You can't fake it. You either have it or you don't. And the only way to get it is through repetition. You do the right thing over and over again until it's not just what you do, it's who you are. You don't need motivation anymore. You've replaced it with standards. Most people can't even imagine what that's like because they've never pushed themselves past the edge of comfort. They stop when it hurts. But mastery begins when comfort ends. That's the initiation. It's where the real transformation begins. You don't chase goals, you become the kind of man who achieves them. That's the real secret. It's not about the money, the physique, the status. That all comes later. First, you become disciplined. You become unshakable. You become a machine. And once you've mastered yourself, everything else bends to your will. People respect it. The world reacts to it. But none of that matters unless it's built on the foundation of ruthless self-control. You don't need to talk about it. You don't need to prove it. You just live it. Every second, every breath, every step. Discipline over distraction. That's the dividing line between average and elite. Every second you waste scrolling, talking, daydreaming, someone else is locking in, outworking you, outlearning you, outgrowing you. You can't afford to live like you have unlimited time. Distraction is the silent killer of dreams. It doesn't hit you all at once. It chips away at you little by little until you wake up and realize you wasted years. Discipline is the antidote. Discipline is saying no when everything in you wants to say yes to comfort. Distraction is easy. It's always there. Your phone, your friends, your excuses, they're always ready to pull you away from the grind. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, bored, or uninspired. It demands execution. It demands that you show up even when the world gives you every reason not to. The more distractions you kill, the sharper you get. The sharper you get, the more dangerous you become. That's how power is built, through ruthless discipline in a world addicted to noise. Most people are owned by their impulses. Their attention span is garbage. They can't go 5 minutes without checking a screen. That's how weak societies become, dopamine zombies, constantly chasing the next hit of cheap entertainment. But if you can control your attention, if you can focus in a distracted world, you become rare. And rare is powerful, rare is valuable. Discipline isn't just about doing the work. It's about doing the right work for the right reasons over and over until your results silence every doubt. You have to become militant with your time, ruthless with your habits. You don't negotiate with distractions, you destroy them. You delete the apps, you cut off the noise, you walk away from anything that doesn't elevate your vision. You train your mind to obey your goals, not your cravings. Most men move based on emotion. That's why they lose. You move based on your standard, that's why you win. You do what has to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Discipline isn't built in a day, it's built in one. Every time you resist distraction, you gain power. Every time you choose to focus, you gain leverage. Every hour of deep work puts you further ahead of the ones who can't stop chasing stimulation. They don't even know they've lost yet. They'll realize when it's too late, when you've already taken the lead. That's the power of discipline. It compounds. It builds momentum. It separates you quietly, steadily, permanently from the masses who never took control. You're not just training your body, your business, your craft. You're training your ability to ignore what doesn't matter. You're conditioning your mind to stay on task, to lock in, to block out the nonsense. The world is built to distract you. Every platform, every notification, every headline is designed to hijack your attention. Discipline is how you take it back. You don't get distracted. You distract them by doing what they thought was impossible, by showing up consistent, by producing when they're just consuming. Your enemies aren't always people. Sometimes your enemy is your comfort, your laziness, your entertainment addiction. You beat them not by fighting, but by refusing to engage. You beat them by choosing discipline every time. Because in the end, success doesn't go to the smartest or the loudest. It goes to the most consistent, the one who did the boring work, the one who showed up every day. the one who stayed focused while the world was asleep at the wheel. That's who takes the throne. That's who rewrites the rules. Get rich in silence. Don't announce your moves. Don't broadcast your hustle. Don't run your mouth before you've got anything to show. The loudest in the room is always the weakest. Real wealth moves in shadows. It grows behind closed doors, far away from the validation-seeking noise. While they're busy trying to look successful, you're too busy becoming it. You don't need to wear fake status or post motivational quotes. You need to shut up, grind, and let the results speak so loud that you never have to. Getting rich in silence means your work ethic is private. Your habits are sacred. Your goals are locked away in your mind, not plastered all over social media. You're not chasing attention, you're chasing results. The man who's building real wealth doesn't have time for clout. He's not explaining himself. He's too focused, too dialed in. The rich aren't out here begging for likes. They're stacking assets while everyone else is stacking distraction. They don't care who sees them, they care who pays them. You want freedom? Build in the dark. Stack cash while they chase dopamine. Learn skills while they chase trends. The ones who make real money are invisible in the early stages. They don't talk about the deal before it's closed. They don't share the vision before it's secure. They operate in silence because real players know the game is mental. The moment you start sharing your every move, you invite opinions, jealousy, sabotage. Silence protects the mission. Silence keeps the vultures away while you build the nest. Money likes speed, but it respects silence. When you're loud, you waste energy defending your ambition. When you're quiet, you conserve power. You don't need to defend your path, you need to dominate it. Every dollar you earn in silence multiplies faster because you're not busy feeding egos or buying approval. You're investing in control, in options, in leverage. And the ones who get rich in silence, so they don't flex, they don't flaunt. They disappear for a year and come back unrecognizable. That's how wealth works. It shows up loud after being built in quiet. Stop announcing your goals. Let them see the transformation. Stop talking about what you're about to do. Just do it. Execute with aggression, but move with precision. You don't owe anyone a play-by-play. You owe yourself the discipline to shut out the noise and build something real. The second you start chasing recognition, you lose your edge. You're no longer building for freedom. You're performing for applause. And applause doesn't pay. Likes don't invest. Comments don't cut checks. Money does. And money loves the quiet. The ones who get rich loud usually lose it loud. They're addicted to being seen, not being smart. They spend more time trying to look successful than actually becoming successful. But the silent killers? They're different. They move with purpose. They build empires out of view. They play long-term games in a short-term world. While others chase the next hype, they're building infrastructure. While others chase virality, they're acquiring equity. That's the difference. The game isn't about attention, it's about ownership. Every hour you work in silence is a deposit into your future. Every sacrifice you make without telling the world multiplies the impact. You don't need to explain why you disappeared. You don't need to justify why you're not out every weekend. Let them wonder, let them guess. That mystery is power. That distance creates strength. The more you keep to yourself, the more you control. Your wealth isn't for show. It's for freedom. Freedom to walk away, to move how you want, to live life on your terms without asking permission. Get rich in silence, because when the money hits, the noise becomes irrelevant. People will try to catch up, try to understand, try to copy, but they won't know how you did it because they weren't there when you were grinding at 3 a.m. They didn't see the discipline, the sacrifice, the strategy. And by the time they do, it's too late. You're already gone. You're already living different. You already separated yourself from the noise. And all you did was focus while they flexed. Level up in the dark. That's where the real growth happens. When no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when no one even knows your name, that's the moment you become lethal. While everyone else is busy trying to be seen, you're too focused on becoming better. No spotlight, no audience, just pressure, discipline, and repetition. That's where warriors are built. In the quiet hours when it's just you and the grind. You don't need noise to validate your progress. You need pain to sharpen your edge. And the dark gives you both. When you level up in the dark, you strip away the performance. You stop working for applause and start working for excellence. You don't post your workouts, you stack them. You don't brag about your hustle, you live it. Every rep, every book, every risk, it's done in private. Not for recognition, but for evolution. That's how killers move. They don't train for attention, they train for dominance. You want the world to respect you? Earn it in silence. Build in the shadows until the world has no choice but to notice. Most people can't handle the dark. They need attention like oxygen. If no one sees them grind, they quit. That's weakness. The real ones, they disappear for months. They suffer in silence. They bleed for a future no one else can see yet. And when they return, they're unrecognizable, bigger, smarter, sharper. You want power? Get used to isolation. Get used to people not understanding you. Get used to walking alone. Because the dark is the forge, and if you can survive it, you'll step out untouchable. The dark isn't just a place, it's a mindset. It's choosing to work when you don't feel like it. It's pushing through without applause. It's mastering yourself without anyone clapping for your progress. You eat alone, train alone, study alone, and you get results that make the loud ones look like amateurs. Because while they're entertaining, you're evolving, and when it's time to step into the light, they'll realize they were too busy performing to actually grow. That's the difference between hype and legacy. You don't need updates. You don't need to explain your silence. Let them assume you fell off. Let them think you gave up. That's fuel. That's energy. Every time they doubt you, stack another win. Every time they stop watching, go even harder. Because when you level up in the dark, you build a version of yourself that they'll never see coming. The kind of version that doesn't just walk into rooms, he dominates them. And he didn't need validation to become that man. He needed solitude. The dark teaches you to rely on yourself. No one's there to cheer you on. No one's texting you motivation. You either rise or stay the same. When you rise, it's because you earned it, not because someone believed in you, but because you believed in you. That's what makes the victory dangerous. It was self-made, self-earned, self-fueled, and no one can take it from you because no one gave it to you. That's what happens when you embrace the dark. You stop needing anyone and start becoming everything. Stop explaining yourself. People who understand your vision don't need explanations, and the ones who demand them don't matter. Every time you pause your progress to justify it to someone who doesn't get it, you lose momentum. You give away power. You allow doubt to creep in through the back door. The truth is, most people don't want to understand you. They want to slow you down. They want you to shrink to their level so they feel better about not moving. But you weren't built to stay small. You weren't made to fit their expectations. You were made to rise. When you keep explaining yourself, you start asking for permission without realizing it. You start trying to be palatable, relatable, acceptable. But growth doesn't look like that. Growth is uncomfortable. It's misunderstood. It's often ugly before it's great. You don't owe anyone a step-by-step breakdown of your grind, your sacrifices, your late nights. Didn't do the work. They didn't bleed for it, so why are you trying to get them to clap for it? Stop looking for applause for people who would never put themselves through what you're doing. The more you explain, the more room you give for criticism, judgment, and opinion. And none of those pay your bills or build your legacy. You don't need their approval. You need results. Let your actions talk. Let your transformation speak. People don't need to understand your silence. They need to respect your discipline. You're not on this path to be understood. You're on it to be legendary. Legends are never fully understood while they're building. Only after the results are undeniable does the world finally get it. Explaining yourself keeps you in the same cycle. You end up defending the life you want to people who are committed to the life you're trying to lead. You can't convince them because they've already accepted average. They don't want freedom like you do. They don't want to hear your logic. They'll only feel their own insecurity. And they'll project it onto you as doubt, mockery, or confusion. That's not your problem. You have to get comfortable being the villain in someone else's story. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you chose yourself. You chose discipline over comfort, elevation over approval, truth over popularity. And that will always trigger the weak. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. That's their issue. You didn't sign up for comfort. You signed up for growth. And growth often looks like isolation, tunnel vision, and a whole lot of, why are you doing that? From people who quit on themselves a long time ago. When you stop explaining yourself, you move faster. You don't hesitate. You don't waste time double checking your moves to see if they're socially approved. You don't pause to make sure everyone's on board. You just go. You execute. You pivot when you need to, not when they say to. Your vision becomes pure, unfiltered, unbothered. And that purity sharpens your decisions, your presence, your impact. People start noticing, not because you told them, because your progress slapped them in the face. Silence makes people uncomfortable, especially when it comes from someone who used to be accessible, predictable, explainable. When you level up and stop offering explanations, people either elevate with you or fall away. That's how it's supposed to be. You're not obligated to carry people who refuse to grow. You're not required to justify why you changed. You changed because you were supposed to. You evolved because you refused to rot in place. And that's something they'll have to deal with, not you. Your mission is too important to dilute with endless conversations. Your focus is too sharp to dull with constant explanations. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Let them gossip. That's the tax of greatness. You didn't come this far to sit at tables you've outgrown just to make everyone else comfortable. You didn't suffer in silence just to beg for understanding from the uncommitted. Walk your path, build your empire, and stop explaining yourself to people who wouldn't walk a single step in your shoes.